Today I'm here to share my commission for a recent issue of Die Cutting Essential magazine. This one was issue 126. And in here I was asked to explore a technique which Jennifer Maguire shared in one of her videos. I will leave a link to her YouTube tutorial in the description box below. In that video she shares 3 different techniques. I'm going to explore one of those on 5 different cards. So yeah, this was quite exciting for me. I really love this technique, and I'm sure a lot of you will love it too. This is a very fun way to add dimension to our project, and I really hope that you like what I come up with. In her video, Jennifer mentions that this technique works best with label dies, but I wanted to take it a step further from there, and I wanted to see if I could use some other dies and die sets in my stash to make this work. And I did. Just stay tuned because I have 5 different cards to share with you. But first I'm going to make a tutorial to one of those cards. I'm going to show you exactly how I created this mechanism. So I have a 6x6 inch card base in here, and the colorway that I was asked to use you can see on my screen now. So I created a background on lilac paper, which is from Chloe's Pastel Sorbet A4 paper pad, and I used this stamp, the floral background stamp, to create this background. Now you can see it's a bit faulted, there's a fault line in the middle. So I used heat embossing to do this, and I had to stamp it twice because it's a DL stamp set, and the embossing powder I went for is the super fine bright white opaque embossing powder by Wow. Don't worry about that line down in the middle. We will come back and fix that up. You will see we'll make it disappear. So I'm using my collal glue to attach this 5 3/4 of an inch square panel to my card base, and I'm going to make this a top folding card. And I'm going to set this aside to dry now. We'll come back and decorate it and fix it up later in this video. To demonstrate this technique, I'm going to use a label die set, and this is the Fancy Sentiment Plaque die set by Chloe's Creative Cards. If you don't have any dies like this in your stash, don't worry. I will show you 4 different ways after this one to see how you can make it work with completely different dies too. So from this die set, I took the 2 largest ones. These are the only 2 that I will be using today. With the larger one, I cut out 2 heavyweight white cardstocks. I'm using 300 GSM white card here. I need to fold them in half, but to find the exact middle line, the easiest way I could make this work is cut it out of plain copy paper, which is very easily folded in half, as you could see me doing there. And I'm going to use that as a guide to find my halfway point. So I'm placing that on top of my heavyweight cardstock die cut, and I'm just very easily scoring down along that line, that fold line from my copy paper. You can also use a ruler to measure out depending on what shape your dies are. Because of the curved edges, I find it quite hard with a ruler to find the halfway point exactly. This one is my cheat code to any kind of die cuts, really. I think I used this technique in my previous video somewhere along the line. So I love using this. Now you can see when I align those straight edges up against each other, I have the same die cut. So this technique definitely, in my opinion, works best with symmetrical dies like this, but you can obviously explore with any kind of die sets you may have in your stash. With the smaller die, I cut out a piece from the same heavyweight 300 GSM cardstock, and I'm going to use this piece to reinforce which will be the flaps on my card. And this will all make sense in a little second, guys, when we are assembling this mechanism. So I'm using the same technique as before, a die cut of a copy paper. I'm going to fold that in half to find the halfway point on my heavyweight die cut. This time, however, instead of a score line, I'm going to add a pencil line in there, and I'm going to use that pencil line as a guide to cut this in half using my trimmer. It's very easy to line up at the edge of the trimmer. Now I have 2 perfect half pieces of those, which I will glue on top of the mechanism. In a little minute you'll see that. So I'm going to bring in my card base, which is nice and dry now, And I am going to glue the two larger folded in half pieces in there and aligning the straight edge line against each other. I'm trying to center this as much as I can on my card. I'm using some quick grab glue, strong glue, because there's a lot of heat embossing. It's a shiny surface going on that paper, so I wanted this glue to be real nice and strong and dry quickly. I didn't want to spend hours waiting for this to dry before completing the card. So now you can see how I have those two flaps coming up. And this is what I will reinforce with the two halves that we just die cut. Now you notice that I did die cut this from a smaller card, or using the smaller die. But as I mentioned, this step is quite optional. You can skip this step entirely. Or you could use the same size die cut as those flaps, as I would have done on some of my cards that I will show later on in this video. So you can see I'm using my color glue. This will again help me strengthen up that quite a lot in there. Once the color glue dries, it dries so lovely and heavyweight. It gives a real good quality feel to my card. So you can see how my top die cut is a bit smaller. You don't need to do that because you'll not see much of this anyway. So to continue with my mechanism, I have two pieces of cards in here measuring 2 by 1 inches, and I have scored die net 1/2 inch, 1 inch and 1.5 inches, and I'm just folding it into this M or W shape. Now I'm not using my scoring tool to reinforce this, just like I didn't use them on those flaps either earlier. When I just fold them gently, this will add to the springiness of my card or the mechanism. So in here with the larger die cut, I die cut the same lilac paper as I have on my background in there, and with the smaller die, I've die cut the white heavyweight cardstock. Because the lilac one is paper and it's not very heavyweight, I wanted to reinforce that. If you're using heavyweight paper, you can skip this step. I just wanted to reinforce that by adding a heavyweight die cut behind it. You will not see this at all. It really is just the purpose of making this a stronger, heavier weight card piece. And this will be my card topper, which we'll end up decorating in a little minute. But first I'm going to glue this onto my mechanism. Now you can see how I'm changing the orientation of these label dies. You don't have to do that. You can go in the same orientation, or you can swap these about and add your flaps from top to bottom on the card, like in a portrait orientation, and add the topper as the landscape one. It really is entirely up to you. It depends on what are you going to decorate your cards with. Now I am adding these springy bits of cardstock by adding glue just onto one end, so 1/2 inch of a tab at the very end of these, and I'm gluing them in about, I want to say about 1/4 inch from that meeting line of the two flaps in there, and this is what it should look like now. So I added the other one in the mirror image of the first one that I glued. Now I'm adding my strong glue again. This is quick grab glue onto the other ends of those springy cardstocks, and just to the 1/2 inch of a tab again. And this will make my mechanism work the way it should work. This is such a lovely way of adding dimension to your cards, because you can press down flat into your envelopes, depending obviously how you decorate it, whether you're adding dimension with your decorations or not. But once you lift it out of the envelope or the envelope box, it will naturally pop up just like this. This is why it's important not to burnish any score lines for this mechanism. So now with the smaller one, I die cut the white heavyweight cardstock, and this is the piece that we are going to decorate. But first, you can see on the top of my card that line doesn't show at all, but on the bottom, the meeting line of the stamping on the background didn't just go very well. So I'm taking my Wow embossing pen, I rubbed it down with some anti-static powder bag, and I'm just adding random dots here and there, because the background itself already has those dots in it. This will fill out that gap nicely. I sprinkled some opaque bright white embossing powder on it, and I'm going to heat set this, and this fills out the gap in there just perfectly, as if it was never there. No one would ever know. If you don't tell, I won't. So you can see how nicely it filled up that gap. Now it doesn't show my mistake anymore. So this is how I decided to clean up my mistake, but there's so many ways that you could cover up with embellishments. Now, before decorating my card paper, I'm adding a little dot of glue in the middle of each of those flowers, and I'm sprinkling some pink glitter. I think this is the Pink Perfection glitter from Chloe's Creative Cards on them, and I'm just filling out all of the flowers in here. This will add some lovely glittery detail. Obviously, it's optional. You don't need to do that. Now, this is how my card base looks, but I'm going to set this aside to dry. I don't want to smudge any of that glue onto the glitter in the middle of the flowers while I'm going to work on decorating my topper. I decided to add some flowers to my card, and I'm going to use a stamp and die set that I have in my stash. I have not used very often, and this is the Fabulous Floral Frame stamp and die set. And this stamps this gorgeous floral frame, and it comes with some matching dies, so I can cut out some of those flowers. It also comes with a sentiment which I used on my original card that I will share with you in a minute. Today I'm going to use a different sentiment to add to this card. So what I done, I stamped and heat embossed with white embossing powder that entire wreath. You can just about pick up in here because it's white on white. It doesn't show much until we are going to add some color to it. And I'm going to use my Distress Oxiding pads to add the color to this before die cutting. So I'm using just a piece of paper in here. I think it's just a piece of copy paper, just to mask off any flowers that are beside the ones that I'm coloring in. And these are the picked raspberry and wilted violet ones, just to go with my color theme. And I am adding just very basic ink blending. Now, it doesn't look like much of a flowers now, but just wait till you see, until we clean this up a little bit and we die cut those flowers. They will be so gorgeous. This is a very easy way of adding color to some flowers, and yeah, it looks like a mess before it will look gorgeous. So I'm just bringing in some microfiber cloth in there, and I'm just cleaning it up because of the heat embossing resists that ink. Now you can start seeing those flowers taking form. So I'm taking some of those matching dies and I'm going to die cut these, some of them in a couple of steps because the ones beside each other obviously wouldn't fit in a one go. But I've die cut some of those. And onto the top layer of the pink one, I'm adding some glue, and then I'm going to add some glue onto the other ones as well. And I'm going to dip all of these into my Crystal Crush glitter by Chloe's Creative Cards. This is a translucent glitter, so once the glue dries clear, it will leave me with some gorgeous sparkle on these flowers. So I didn't add any onto that other piece of pink because I will be layering those two on top of each other. But it goes without saying, you can decorate this card with anything that you have in your stash. You can use any floral dies if you choose to use flowers. So you could see me gluing that on top of the other layer in there. I'm going to set this aside to dry a bit because I don't want to smudge again that glue in there under the glitter. The die set also contains some foliage dies, which I've die cut several times each from heavyweight white cardstock. And I'm going to use Distress Oxiding, and this is the Twisted Citron, to add color to those. Of course, you can die cut this from colored cardstock. It will simplify one of your steps in here already, just as well as the background at the start, which I stamped and heat embossed. You could just use some pattern paper. It would make your card making so much quicker. So now to add to this, all I'm missing is a sentiment. And I took the amazing, beautiful, lovely Sentiment Builder stamp and die set from Chloe's Creative Cards. On my original card, which I will share with you in a second, I used the Sentiment stamp from the Floral Frame die set, stamp and die set. But today I'm going to use this one. So everything that I can find will be linked in the description box below if you want to check any of these products out. So it comes with dies saying beautiful, amazing and lovely, and it comes with outline dies to those as well. You can also choose to stamp and then die cut, and there's a lot of sub-sentiments, and today I chose to use "you are" from the sub-sentiments, and I die cut the word lovely. From white cardstock, added wilted violet color to it, and then the outline from white cardstock, and just very lightly ink blended the edges of that die cut as well. So I lined it up on my stamping platform because I'm using distress oxiding to stamp this, and I need to stamp several times. I just find it that using a stamping platform really comes handy in here. So I stamped "you are" straight onto the cardstock. And now I'm ready to assemble these. So I'm adding this on top of my lilac topper in there. And then I'm going to bring in a lovely, and I'm going to glue this straight onto it as well. I did think of adding foam parts to this, but then decided against because there's already so much dimension going on in this mechanism. I really didn't need to add any more, but you can of course choose to do that too. Now, to add my flowers and foliage, I'm just going to speed this up just to show you how I'm adding this. But I'm just using my hot glue gun just for speed to attach these. And to be honest, I do love using my hot glue gun in my craft room. It's almost always on when I sit down to my table, and I just use it a lot. So you can see I'm adding the foliage and the flowers in there. To decorate my flowers, I just brought in some bling box, and I'm going to use the pink and the purple one. And I'm adding just one in the middle of each flower. Now that glue will take a little bit to dry. I added a little bit more glue than what I needed, but because it dries clear, it doesn't matter. Really, it's just takes a little while. I will show you some close-up images and close-up footage once this is fully dried in a minute. But you can see how it folds flat entirely. There's a little bit of a dimension from my flowers. You can choose not to do that. As I mentioned earlier on, I will share some other ideas and some other inspiration or how you might want to try using this technique. If you give it a go, I really would love you to, because this is genuinely such a lovely mechanism to work with to create some lovely dimension on your cards. So in here you can see the original card using the same products, same techniques as I just shared in my tutorial, except the sentiment. The sentiment is different. It's from the Floral Erase Stamp and Die set. And here are some still images just to show you how the card looks once displayed. And this is an image from top above. So you can see that lovely dimension. For my second card, I used the Butterfly die set, and this is the Butterfly Dreams stamp and die set. I didn't use the stamps today, but you can see how you can make this mechanism work even without the nesting label dies. So this is just one die, and then again obviously the filigree kind of a detail die on the top just to decorate it. But for the base of the mechanism I only used one die, the butterfly. As long as your die is symmetrical, so the left and the right side of are exactly the same once you fold them in half, I think this will work absolutely fine for you. For my third card, I used star nesting dies from, mine is from Creative Craft Products, from Craft Stash. We can use any star shaped dies that you have. You can see how I added acetate sheets behind this largest one, and I used just the one size of a die again to create my mechanism. So the mechanism itself hides behind that main star in there. You can't see unless you're tilting the card. I think it's such a lovely way to use this too. And then you can see all those stars just shooting out of that big one using my colorway, and I added a celebrate die just on the bottom. This would really work nice with presents and all the sprinkles and the party poppers coming out of it, I think too. For the next card, I used a nesting die set from Sentimentally Yours, and this is the graceful squares. The largest ones I used to create my card base, and then the smaller ones I used to create my mechanism. Again, I used the same size for the mechanism, so it does not show behind the main topper, but it adds that lovely dimension. The foliage are again from Sentimentally Yours, the flower dies, the thank you, and the and the rhinestones are from Chloe's Creative Cards. And for the background, I used the 6x6 Quatro Background die from Craft Stash, Creative Craft Products, and I covered the background in glitter as well. So anything that is still available, as I mentioned before, will be linked in the description box below, so you can check those products out. But there's so many ways that you can use things from your stash already. For my last card, I used the circle die set. Mine is from Chloe's Creative Cards, so you can see how this would work with any circle die sets at all. And the floral stamps and dies are from Craft Stash, and this is the gift of flowers, which I heat embossed, colored in, and die cut, and just added to my card. And this shows you how the card is lovely and flat, folds into an envelope if your embellishments does not have any dimensions to them. So just a quick recap on all the cards that I showed you. This one is the first one that we made together at the start of the video, and then just some still footage of all the rest ones, just to remind you of all the cards. I really hope you like this mechanism. Do let me know in the comment section below if you do have a favorite of these cards, and do let me know if this is something that you might give a go to, because it is such a lovely way to add dimension. I really loved it. And if you did like to, please do not forget to give me the thumbs up, leave a comment, hit the notification bell to make sure you get notified when I upload my next video. I really hope to see you back soon. Until then, bye!